Well, hello everybody. Welcome to P.B.M. Money. Today, I want to go through and just talk about one part of the recovery that's coming eventually, and that is money. In order to prepare for recovery, you need to be prepared to jump in and start buying whatever investment it is you're interested in. And so I have found that whenever I tell the people that I'm teaching to go get extra money, they kind of look at me like, you know. So today, I started the outline out, 5 ways to make money for the recovery. Then I went to 10, then I went to 15, and I think we ended up at 18. And I may or may not get them done. If not, we'll do a part 2. But I just sat down and started brainstorming. And I came up with 18 different ways. Now, the ways that you choose to raise money is going to be in your station in life, probably. Some of these you'll do, some of them you won't. Some of them you'll think is a good idea, and some of them you won't. And that's fine. But for every station in life, there is a way to go raise money for investment. And one of them that isn't on my list, that just hit me, was to cash in old annuities or life insurance policies. As an example, if you have a whole life insurance policy sitting somewhere that has only got a few $1,000s sitting in it, cash it in. One of the things I used to do as an insurance agent was take old retirement accounts, where you had a job for 6 months or a year, and I'd gather all those up and roll it all into an annuity. Well, what if you did that and then cashed in the annuity? So now there's 18. Now, one of the things that I have advocated all along in preparing for the recovery is to clean your credit up and no new credit. Well, here I'm going to buck that system. Only because I did this for years with our ministry, and it manages to raise cash because, our ministry would have, maybe $100 at the end of the month. And what are you going to do with the $100? And you got expenses, blah, blah, blah. So what I did is I went to the savings and loan and I got $1,000 or $1,200 personal loan, and then the ministry paid it off. Well, at the end of the year, I had the loan paid off. I had $1,200 in the account. It worked pretty well. So with whatever you could afford, I would go do that, and I'd make it for 12 months. And by the way, all the ideas that we come up with here on ways to raise money, you take every penny of that and you set it aside, whether it's in a savings account or an envelope, but you set every penny aside. No cheating, no borrowing. You take the money, put it in the envelope. Go get a personal loan. Just treat it like another bill and forget about it. A home equity loan. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you go put the loan on your home. What that means is you go get the line of credit available for a home equity loan. You may or may not need it. What we're looking at doing is opening up all the options for you. And that is one, using your equity to go do that. If you have a business, any type of business, Sell off your excess inventory. My first wife used to do Mary Kay, and they make you buy a big kit of crap to get started. Well, pull out the stuff that you know you're going to sell, stuff you know you have customers for, and whatever's left, go sell. Put it on Facebook, mark a deep discount on it, sell it. Excess inventory, no matter what your business. We already talked about part of this, but open a personal line of credit at the bank. Now, be careful, because some banks will charge you to do this. Don't pay for it. But go in and say, hey, I want to get a line of credit. What kind of line can I get? What do you got? You got $1,000? But that'll be another source of income for you. This one I called Consider Selling Dogs. Now, we know that you don't actually lose money in the stock market until you sell the stocks. And when I say consider selling the dogs, I don't mean sell them at the low. But I would make a list of the stocks that you own that if the time came that you would sell quickly at a little bit of a profit, just to have the cash to jump into something else that will grow faster. What about a part-time job? I told a young guy at work that I'm working with, he's 22 years old, he's got one job, 40 hours a week. I told him, you need to raise more cash. I said, go get yourself an easy job like a teller. And you don't need a lot, 10, 15 hours a week, 1 or 2 nights a week. But take that money and set it aside. He hasn't done it. He's not that motivated. Increase the amount of savings that you are doing. And you would be surprised how painless this is. So let's say that you're having $100 a month taking out of your savings account or out of your checking account for savings. Would you miss $10 extra? At the end of a year and a half, it'd be $180 that you've got extra to go invest. Number 8 is to change your withholding. Most people, when you fill out your paperwork, when you start at a job, they ask you to mark down your withholding. Most people put 0 or 1. That way more money is taken out each payday so that you make sure your taxes are covered and you get a refund at the end of the year. Well, for this year, consider not doing that. If you can claim 4 or 5, then go claim 4 or 5. Now, you won't get a refund in a year, but you'll get the extra money every payday. You take that extra money and put it in your envelope. That way, whenever the recovery does start, you've got the cash ready to go. Number 10. Speaking of taxes, what about your tax refund? We just went through tax season. I just got mine back, and I put mine right into our financial game that we're playing. Of course, whatever it cost me to get my taxes done, minus my tithe, that's how much I put into the account. But your tax refunds is always a good one. What about if you had old savings bonds sitting around the house? like E-bonds or H-bonds or I-bonds, go cash them in. They don't make interest forever, especially the E-bonds. But if you've got any sitting around, go cash them in, take the cash, put it in an envelope. A lot of people, even young single people, have got extra vehicles sitting around their place. The summer they were into motorcycles. The winter they were into snowmobiles. The boat that hasn't been out in 3 years. The car that hasn't started in 2 years. Take all those toys and all that stuff and go sell it. Sell it on Marketplace, sell it on eBay, but sell it, turn it into cash, put it in the envelope. Number 12, how about garage sales? Or selling stuff on eBay or Facebook. I guess it's the same thing. And I'll give you a good example. I was helping a girl with her finances, and she claimed she couldn't raise any more money. Well, it just so happened that her largest expense and her budget was buying clothes on eBay to the tune of $400 or $500 a month. And so I said, "You've got to have boxes and boxes and boxes of clothes." She said, "I do." I said, "Well, go through there, take pictures of 5 of them a week, put them on Facebook, and sell them, even if you only get $10 a dress. Over the next year, you're going to raise a lot of money." And you can do that with anything. Bric-a-brac, old CDs, cassette tapes, audio and video equipment, anything that you've got extra, go sell. Now, one that I'm doing is a side job, and I've mentioned this in a couple of videos. The apartment complex that I work at was looking for somebody to do a mundane, boring, backbreaking job. Nobody wanted to do it because it was a lot of work. So who'd they give it to? The 62-year-old man. And it is breaking my back, but God is working with me, and we're figuring it out. And I may not keep it the whole time, but I am going to keep it long enough to raise some cash. We've already raised a couple of $1,000s in a couple of months. So get yourself a side job, but make sure every penny goes into there. Now, what about overtime? Is overtime available on your job? And here's one thing I did last year to raise some cash. Now, my full-time job, I get 3 weeks vacation. Paid. My second job is retail. I get no paid vacation. But it's retail, the holidays is crunch time. So I took all 2.5 weeks vacation around the holidays. And I told my boss at the retail store, in this 1 week, I'll work all the hours you want. The other 2 weeks, you're going to leave me alone. But the 1 week, that way I can double dip. I'm getting paid at my regular job, plus I'm working here and making extra money. So in that scenario, any extra money that I made at the retail store goes into that account. Now, was it fun? No. but I had the money there to go invest. Number 17. And to me, I do this on a regular basis. Cut your expenses. No matter how much you think you've cut them, there's always one more place to cut. And I still do that, and I'm going to do that here pretty quick. As an example, I'm going to cut my phone bill from $152 a month down to around $50 a month. So that $100 a month, I'm going to go into my bank and say, hey, I want you to take an extra $100 a month out of my payroll check and put it into my savings account. That way I'm spending the same amount of money. But instead of the phone company getting that $100, I'm going to get that $100. The last way I want to talk about is pay off debt. Now that doesn't sound like you're going to make any money, but if you're paying the minimums on credit cards, let's say you've got 3 credit cards paying a minimum of $35, that's $105 a month you're paying minimums on your credit cards. Work on paying those off, then take the $105 that you're putting towards them and put it towards your envelope. Now remember, based on what we're planning on, we've got a year or a year and a half to accumulate as much cash as we can. If you take 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of these ideas I had and institute them all together, you could very easily have several $1,000s in a year to go invest in the market. And I would do that, and I am doing that. And I'm going to go through here. I just paid off a personal loan. I've got a line of credit at my bank. I've already considered selling my dogs. I've got a part-time job and a side hustle. I'm increasing my savings. I just put my tax refund in. And I'm getting ready to cut expenses. So I've been doing this hard and full time for about 3 years now. And I just did this within the last couple of months. I did all of those. So I do it on a regular basis, and so should you. Well, those are the top 18, and I gave you a couple extras, so let's call it 20. 20 ways to raise money to get prepared for the coming recovery in our economy. And trust me, it's coming. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And I think the millennials have got it all wrong. It's not going to be in a month or two. I think it's going to be in a year or two. But even if I'm wrong, do it as quickly as you can, raise as much as you can, and be prepared to take advantage of the recovery, because the people that have money are doing the same thing. You have a great day, a great week, and happy investing.